Snow bit at Edeme's cheeks like tiny teeth, and still she did not cry. 3 days she had sat by the broken wagon wheel, watching the white road for her pa's lantern. Now the sun was dying again behind gray clouds, and her body had stopped shaking. That scared her more than the shaking ever did. A wolf, thin and hungry, stepped out from a stand of frozen pine. It stood 20 feet away, ribs showing through matted fur, watching her the way a man watches a coin he means to pick up. Edame should have screamed. She should have run. Instead, she reached into the snow beside her and pulled out the last hard biscuit from her family's ruined supply sack. She threw it toward the wolf. "There," she said, her voice cracked and small. "Now we're even hungry." The wolf sniffed the biscuit, ate it in one bite, and sat down in the snow like a tired dog. It did not come closer. It did not leave either. The two of them stayed like that, girl and wolf, sharing the dying light of a Wyoming winter afternoon, neither one afraid of the other anymore. Far down the white road, a rider appeared. Silas Boone reined in his mare hard when he saw the shape in the snow, a child sitting calm as Sunday morning, with a wolf beside her like some kind of churchyard statue come to life. He had seen many strange things on the trail, but never this. "Lord Almighty," he breathed, swinging down from his saddle slow, so as not to spook either creature in front of him. The wolf rose at the sound of his boots crunching snow. It looked at Silas, looked back at Edame, and then trotted off toward the tree line without a sound, like it had only been waiting to see the girl was not alone anymore. Silas knelt down. Up close, he could see her lips were the color of a bruise, her small hands nearly frozen into fists around nothing at all. "Little one," he said, gentle as he knew how, "you just fed a wolf your last biscuit." Edame looked at him with eyes gone flat and tired, eyes that had already given up on rescue 3 days back. "He looked hungrier than me," she whispered. "And nobody returned for me anyhow. Might as well feed somebody." Silas felt those words hit him like a fist to the ribs. He had ridden past plenty of hard sights in his years on the trail, dead cattle, dead men, whole homesteads burned to nothing. But nothing had struck him quite like a starving child calmly sharing her last food with a wolf, simply because she had already decided her own life did not much matter to anyone left in this world. He was wrong about that. He meant to prove it. Silas Boone did not waste time on more questions. He shrugged off his heavy buffalo hide coat and wrapped it around Edame's small shoulders, tucking it under her chin the way a man tucks a blanket around a newborn calf on a cold night. The coat swallowed her whole. Only her white face and dark eyes showed above the collar. "Can you feel your feet?" he asked. "A little," she whispered. "Mostly I feel nothing." Silas did not like that answer. He had seen frostbite before, out on winter drives, and he knew nothing was worse than pain. Pain meant blood still moved. Nothing meant trouble. He pulled off her thin, holed boots and pressed her bare feet flat against his own stomach, under his shirt, skin to skin, the old trail trick for warming a body gone too cold. Edame gasped at the shock of his warmth, and for the first time in 3 days, she made a sound that was almost a cry. "That hurts," she said. "Good," Silas answered. "Hurting means you're still here to feel it." While he worked, he talked to her, low and steady, the way a man talks to a spooked horse. He told her his name. He told her he was riding cattle money to Cheyenne, that he had no family waiting on him, no wife, no children, nobody expecting him home by any particular hour. He said this last part slow, like it mattered. "I know what it is," he said, "to wait on a road for somebody who don't come." Edame's eyes flicked up to his face. "You do." "My own mother," Silas said. "Long time back, different kind of winter, same kind of waiting." He reached into his saddlebag then and pulled out a small object wrapped in soft cloth. Edame watched him unwrap it with hands that shook, not from cold this time, but from something closer to nerves. Inside was a wooden box, carved smooth, painted with a small blue bird on its lid. "Been carrying this a long while," Silas said. was meant for somebody else. A niece of mine never met her, lives far off from here." He turned the box over in his rough hands, studying the bluebird like it might tell him something. "But I've carried it so long," he said. "Maybe it was always meant to find whoever needed it worst. And right now, I don't reckon there's anybody in the whole territory who needs it worse than you." He placed it into her small hands, closing her frozen fingers gently around the wood. "Open it when you're warm," he told her. "Not before. Some things are better opened slow." Then he lifted her onto his horse and began the long walk toward town. The walk to Elk Hollow took most of the night. Silas led Copper by the reins through snow that reached past his knees in places, his own coat gone, his shirt soaked through with sweat and melted ice. He did not stop to rest. He knew a body could freeze in the time it took to catch its breath. Edamie dozed against the horse's neck, wrapped thick in the buffalo coat and a wool blanket besides. The wooden music box held tight against her chest the whole way, like something precious a person carries through a burning house. Lantern light appeared at last, small and gold against the dark. Elk Hollow. Silas's legs nearly gave out at the sight of it. He carried Edamie through the door of the general store himself, too tired and too worried to wait for help. Louisa Pratt, the storekeeper's wife, dropped the pot she was holding and rushed toward them, her face gone white with shock. "Lord have mercy," she said. "Get her by the fire now." They wrapped Edamie in dry quilts, warm from sitting near the hearth. Louisa fed her broth from a spoon, small sips, slow and patient, because a starved stomach could not take food fast, no matter how hungry the person was. Edamie's hands shook too badly to hold the spoon herself, so Louisa held it for her, the way a mother feeds a baby. Silas sat on a wooden stool beside the bed they made for her, and he did not leave. Not once, not for hours. He watched her chest rise and fall under the quilts, counting each breath like a man counting coins he was afraid to lose. Near dawn, color returned to Edamie's face, a soft pink where there had only been white and blue before. Her fingers grew warm enough to move freely again. She remembered the wooden box then, still tucked against her ribs, and she pulled it out with careful hands. She opened the lid. A small, slow tune rose out of the box, soft as a whispered lullaby. Silas's whole body went still at the sound of it. It was his own mother's song, the one she used to hum to him before that long ago winter took her away. Beneath the tiny metal comb that made the music, Edamie found a folded paper. She opened it and read the careful handwriting slowly, mouthing each word. "You are not forgotten. Wherever you are, whoever you become, someone out there is thinking of you and wishing you well." She read it twice. Then she looked up at Silas, her eyes bright with tears that came from something other than sadness this time. "Did you write this for me?" she asked. "I wrote it a long while back," Silas said quietly, "for somebody else. But I reckon words like that don't belong to just one person. Riders went out from Elk Hollow at first light to search the storm-covered road. They came back 3 days later with hard news. Edamie's parents' wagon had slid off the frozen path in the blizzard, into a ravine hidden deep under new snow. Neither her pa nor her ma had lived through the fall. Louisa Pratt held Edamie close when the news came, and the girl cried the kind of tears that had been frozen inside her for days, finally let loose. Silas stood in the doorway of the store, hat in his hands, saying nothing, because some grief has no words that fit it right. That night after Edamie had cried herself to sleep by the fire, Silas sat alone outside under the stars. He thought about his cattle, still waiting to be sold in Cheyenne. He thought about his empty saddlebags, his empty pockets, his long habit of riding alone with no one depending on him. Then he thought about a girl feeding her last biscuit to a hungry wolf, believing nobody in the world was coming back for her. He walked back inside and spoke to Louisa and to the town preacher, a kind old man named Reverend Cobb. He told them plain what he wanted. He wanted to stay in Elk Hollow. He wanted to raise Edamie Lark as his own, proper and legal, with the law and the church both standing behind it. "You sure, Mr. Boone?" Reverend Cobb asked him. "A man alone, raising a child alone, that's a hard road." "I know hard roads," Silas answered. "Rode plenty of them. This one I aim to ride on purpose." He sold his cattle that spring, but not in Cheyenne. He sold them close by, and used the money to buy lumber and nails instead of more land or more horses. Log by log, he built a small cabin at the edge of Elk Hollow with his own 2 hands, a home with a real window that caught the morning sun. Etta Mee placed the wooden music box on that windowsill, where the light touched its painted bluebird every single day. She never once put it away in a drawer or a trunk. She wanted to see it always. Years passed. Etta Mee grew tall and strong, and she married a good man from a neighboring ranch, and she had children of her own. Every winter, when snow fell outside their warm window, she gathered her little ones close and told them the same story. "A gift carried long enough," she always said, "finds the heart that needs it most." And in the town of Elk Hollow, folks still told the tale by their fires on cold nights. The story of a lonely cowboy who stopped in the snow for a forgotten little girl, and never once thought about riding away again.